Hello, this is Going Deeper. I'm your host, Kathy Harrison Booker. In this session, we're looking at not only the 14th chapter of the book of Revelation, but we're also looking at chapters 17 and 18 because our study deals with Babylon. Babylon, this great mystery nation, this woman Babylon, this mindset Babylon. In Revelation chapter 14, John sees three angels, and the second angel makes a statement. Fallen, fallen is Babylon the Great, she who has made all the nations drink of the wine of the passion of her immorality. Well, in order to get a good understanding of who Babylon was, she's referred to as a woman, but Babylon was actually a place. If we remember back in the Old Testament, the southern kingdom of when the kingdom of Israel was divided into two sections, the southern kingdom was taken captive by the land of Babylon, by that governmental system. So Babylon was an actual place. Babylon is referred to as a woman, which the Bible does often, but also it's important for us to understand that Babylon is a mindset. It's a thought process. It's a culture. Babylon is the culture of the AntiChrist. And another way to look at it, one that would make it easier for us to understand, is that Babylon is the culture of the world. It is the world's culture. When we talk about being worldly or worldliness, we're basically talking about the culture of Babylon. When we look at chapter 17 of the book of Revelation, at the end of verse 1, it says, an angel is helping John to understand who Babylon was, and he says, the great harlot who sits on many waters. Then if you drop down to verse 15, he tells us that the waters which you saw the harlot sit on are the peoples, multitudes, and nations and tongues. So Babylon is this woman, you could say, is this thought process that governed, or that sat on, in a sense, or governed, controlled a great many people, a great many territories. If we go back over to chapter 17, verse 2, it says, with whom the kings of the earth committed acts of immorality, and those who dwell on the earth were made drunk with the wine of her immorality. All throughout the study of Babylon, you're going to hear how immoral she was, because sex was major in the culture of Babylon. You're going to also hear how the kings of the earth, here it says, committed acts of immorality with her. They were very much entrenched in that whole system. And who are the kings of the earth? What does that represent? That represents politics, the political system of the earth. So a good way to remember or to understand what Babylon is all about is it's that thought process or that world order, the worldliness of sex, of politics, and of corruption, because that's basically what it fostered. It fostered corruption. 17 gives us a total description of it. We won't have a chance to read through it all. But if we turn back to the book of Isaiah, Isaiah prophesied this destruction of Babylon because Babylon was so wicked, very wicked. In the 13th chapter of the book of Isaiah, there were prophecies about the destruction that would come. Starting at verse 6, that's Isaiah chapter 13, verse 6. Wail, for the day of the Lord is near. It will come as destruction from the Almighty. Therefore all hands will fall limp, and every man's heart will melt. They will be terrified. Pangs and anguish will take hold of them, and they will writhe like a woman in labor. They will look at one another in astonishment, their faces aflamed. Behold, the day of the Lord is coming, cruel with fury and burning anger, to make the land a desolation. He's talking about what's going to happen to Babylon. If we drop down to verse 17 of the 13th chapter of Isaiah, Isaiah goes on to say, behold, I'm going to stir up the Medes against them, who will not value silver or take pleasure in gold. Let's look at verse 19. And Babylon, the beauty of the kingdoms, the glory of the Chaldeans' pride, will be as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. It will never be inhabited or lived in from generation to generation. Nor will the Arab pitch his tent there, nor will shepherds make their flock lie down there. In other words, God is saying he's going to utterly destroy Babylon. He's going to destroy this place, yes, but he's going to destroy that mindset. And that's what's happening when we flip back to the book of Revelation. That's what's happening in the 18th chapter of the book of Revelation. That chapter is all about how God destroys Babylon. He's going to destroy it as if an angel will take a large stone and throw it down and completely obliterate it. And she will be mourned after. But before God does that, he calls his people out of there, which is an interesting note to think about. God is going to call forth his people from Babylon, lest they be wiped away with it. What does that mean? Well, we think back to the verse that tells us in the New Testament that the wheat and the tare will grow together. That means there are many people, Christian people, believers in God, who are part of politics, who look like they're even a part of the whole world system, but they're actually God's people. They've given their lives to him, and they're on a mission being there. It may be some of you. You may be on a mission there. As long as we keep our hearts pure, we have to be sent into the land, because there are other people in that land who need to be brought out, who need to be delivered. So before God destroys them, just like he did with Lot and his family, he's going to call out the righteous, and then he's going to wipe away the unrighteous. It's important for us to remember that there is a mindset in the earth being perpetrated by the Antichrist right now in the earth. We see it on our televisions. We hear it in the music that's being played. We see it when we shop. There is a mindset in the earth, a mindset of immorality, a mindset of corruption, a mindset basically that will lead to death. It will draw us in through our temptation. It will draw us into sin, and all sin leads to death. We have to be aware of that. We as the people of God have to stand up against that. This has been Kathy Harrison Booker with Going Deeper. Looking forward to talking with you next time. God bless.